Okay, to explain our detail section, so the first item on the list is the top assembly item that you're building for inventory. And the items indented underneath of it are all of its components that are going into it. And then the one with the square dot is a sub-assembly of the top assembly item. Anything that has a square dot is a sub-assembly. If you toggle sub-assemblies, it'll put that little arrow in front of it and then show us what its components are here. And if we move this screen down a bit, we get a little more room. We can see it all. Then if we hit the build button at this point, it's going to consume the raw materials for this sub-assembly. If we toggle that back to by hitting this button and that arrow goes away, then we will consume this STS02 that is in stock. We've got 181 of them in stock, so it will consume it. When we created this production order, it automatically assumed that we were going to use what we had in stock, but you can override that by hitting the toggle, and now with that arrow there, it will use sub-assemblies. Now the problem is it turned orange, which means we are short of some of its components to be able to build it, and in this case, all of its components are short. Orange means we have enough, but based on the fact that we've got other items in production underneath here, we don't have enough for all of the production orders. If the dots were red, it means we don't have enough even for this one production order. So we'll untoggle that again. And on the quantity column, this is the quantity we want to build of the top assembly item. If we type in another number here, it recalculates all the quantities needed underneath for its components. This is if we've built any to date, because we can partially build a production order. What it's remaining, it's extended. You notice that some of these extended the 12 times. The quantity doesn't exactly equal the quantity here. That's because if we look further down, we have a scrap value set for 2 of the items, 10% scrap here and 5 on this one. All right, then we have our unit of measure. The unit of measure you can select a different unit of measure if you had one set up in inventory for that item, or you can type a manual unit of measure. So if I put in just a manual one there, it pops up and says we don't have a unit of measure for this item, but then allows you to choose a manual conversion factor. So I can go 12, and it puts 12 MO per each, and then does the math and figures exactly what our inventory usage should be at that point. So this is the usage column here now, shows exactly what's being used. In the lead time, this is how long it takes to get this product. This is picked up from the bill of material. It is editable, so if you want to change the lead time for this production order only, because you know your vendor may have a different lead time for this product, it will only change for the production order unless you hit the store bill of material button, which updates the master. This is the vendor that it's purchased from, so when we do requisitions, that's who it will purchase it from. You need to manually add these at this point if you want to place a requisition for this. The category, this is the category used. Business Vision requires a category for each of the items that you have in here. So you choose one off the list, and that's just a master list that's set up in Business Vision Bill of Materials. And then it's yield, which at the top for the top assembly item, and the scrap for the components, and the extended scrap and the actual scrap. So you can actually change this before you hit the build button so that you get the exact scrap used instead of an estimated. So this is the amount that's going to be assembled and its quantity and what date line by line you want to put on each of these components. This is just a date that it was added to it. This is used mostly for people that do a lot of customization and they want to know what date they added the raw material onto the production order. This is the person in charge of doing this part of it. You can add that in here by just choosing an employee off the list. And it just looks at your payroll tables, puts their name on it. And requisition type, this is if you've got a requisition coming for this particular production order. The types here will be whether it's a purchase order or in the case of another, it's like this bottom item here being a sub-assembly, it would say production order here and its production order number that it's being built on. Okay, one more thing we can do here is if you have a very large production order, sometimes you want to find a particular part, you can sort on any one of these columns. So if you click on it, it just sorts each of the column, including all of its quantities and all of them. The only one that does not move is the top assembly item. When you exit or save and close this order, it goes back to its natural order, and when you come back into it, it'll be back to its normal and natural order. Okay, if you want to delete something off the production order, you simply highlight the item that you want to delete and hit the delete button. And if you want to insert something in between, you hit the insert button, and then now you can add in a new part number for this production order. Okay, if an item is short, it will, and you have an alternate set up for it, you can switch to the alternate by clicking this button. You highlight the item that you want to switch, and you hit the switch to alternate. And then if this is a serialized item, you've got the serial number button to be able to choose the serial number for the raw components. We do save all serial numbers in the history, so if you consume an item that's raw materials and it's serialized, you can look back at it to see what that serial number was when you built it.